Good morning. It's Friday, October 1st, and once again, Mitch McConnell has struck. The most evil man in government has thwarted the Democrats' attempt to get the debt ceiling raised with a majority vote instead of the 60 votes that are usually required to pass this type of legislation. Now, Chuck Schumer, who was one of the smartest kids in the world, he went to Stuyvesant High School, he went to some other places, he was a very bright man. He's not so bright in messing with McConnell, though. McConnell is just evil to the core, knows all the tricks and been in his job for a long, long time. So when Schumer requested that the Senate vote and allow them, the Democrats, the fractured Democrats, to pass a debt reconciliation bill that would allow them to raise the debt ceiling without the usual 60 votes, did he really think that McConnell would acquiesce to such a request? If he did, he's living in na-na land. So of course McConnell turned him down. And now the country is on the verge of shutting down. So they've done some extensions, and it looks like they'll be able to survive for another couple of weeks without shutting the country down. But I don't know what the thinking of the Democrats is. They are determined to remain in their fractured state. They're determined to spend this $4 trillion. And I believe that we need to spend this money. But if you have a faction in their own party that won't back down, and you have the opposition party that doesn't want to spend any of this money, you have to figure out a way to get it done. And maybe the way to get it done is in a piecemeal fashion. Maybe you need 10 bills to spend this money, and maybe it takes you 3 years to get them all assembled and get them working. But you gotta know what you want to do first. You can't do everything at once. As great as this country is, we can't do everything at once. And that's a failing. Many times in business you have plans, and then you have a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan, and that's what it is. You can't just have, and this is a 10-year plan. So what if it takes 11 years to accomplish some of these things, or 12 years to accomplish some of these things? That's the way it is. We need some intelligence to get this country straightened out. And I'm afraid that most of the intelligent people are not going to work in the government anymore. So once again, McConnell has screwed the Democrats. And in essence, he has screwed the country too. But of course, almost 50% of this country is on his side, right? And we know that because we see what's happening. We see what's happening around the country with the voting rights bills that are being passed and everything else. So I don't know what to tell you we're going to do. I don't know what we could really do. I don't know how you sit down with a man like McConnell and win the battle, because he knows all the tricks. And if Schumer and the rest of the Democrats who have been around a long, long time can't figure out a way to get around all these tricks and all these nooks and crannies that exist in the government, we're not going anywhere. And I can bet you a lot of money that in the midterm elections we will be killed. The Democrats, I mean, not me, not people. The Democrats will lose the midterm elections because they're not getting anything done. And of course the progressives will blame it on the rest of the Democratic Party because they wouldn't listen to them. So you've got 9 or 10 people in this progressive caucus. They won't budge an inch either, Although Jay Powell seems to be a reasonable person when you listen to her speak. So maybe there's a way to get them in line, to get the progressive caucus, to attempt to work with everybody else. And maybe they'll take a little bit less than all of these Build Back America tasks that they want to accomplish. And I'm not saying any of these things are wrong. I am not saying any of these things are wrong, but this is a government that is so fractured, we cannot agree on anything. And as long as it remains that way, nothing's going to happen. And then when you got a simple request to get us enough money to survive and not default on our debts, which would be a major, major embarrassment. We're not embarrassed enough right now. We need to have a more embarrassing situation, like we can't pay our bills. That would be wonderful. This great American country that everybody used to look up to can't pay their bills. How does that sound? Doesn't sound good to me. So why you have all these great plans and all these promises? You can't deliver. So what good are the promises? You shouldn't make promises where there's a 50% chance that you can't deliver. When you go into anything, any deal, you got to be 80% sure that what you say is going to happen. And by we I mean the Democrats, are not doing that. They're not doing the right things. We can all say the Republicans blocking this and that, and it's all their fault, but it's not their fault. It's not the Republicans' fault if the Democrats are stupid. If the Democrats can't figure out a way to get things done, can't figure out a way to get things done within their own party. So the Republicans are going to take advantage of that. And I don't blame them. You sit down at a card table and you play bridge. You don't play to lose. And the Republicans are not playing to lose. And as long as they have 50% of this country on their side, or almost 50% of their country on this side, they're going to be a force. They're going to remain to be a force. And the Democrats have to learn to work with them. Now, I'm not saying that will be easy, because the Republicans are not prepared to bend at all, in my view. And so I leave you today on what I will call Fractured Friday, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.